am a neurodivergent innovator and founder of Dressing Roommate, a platform designed for coaching and consulting and helping workplaces be healthier, more productive spaces for folks who are neurodivergent, but also just looking for acceptance and embracement. And today I'm so excited to be speaking with the founder of SkipCourse. Carl, how are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited to be here today. This is the first podcast that we've run since we've launched back in December. So it's really good to have our face out there and meet people that are looking the same way, looking to do the same things that we're doing. So
absolutely. So I love SkipCourse. Tell the whole world what is the platform? What do you do?
So SkipCourse is, a lot of it's in the name. We don't go by coursework. We go by what the student is interested in. So I've seen so many students who like to rabbit hole into one topic, but it's not what's on the agenda today in a classroom. And they end up doing college level work or beyond as sophomores in high school if they're just given the chance to go with the things that they're interested in. So SkipCourse gives them that chance and finds out after they submit what course it would have been for.
Okay. So just to break it down, we have students who are non-traditional learners, right? You would say, who are on their own time already looking for advanced work, already doing advanced work. And now SkipCourse is doing what for them?
So the traditional order of data is like this teacher designs the course, then assigns the assignments, then the students submit and then grade the work, right? And that means that the student has to be okay with the teacher picking all the work. But if students know what they want to do and they turn it in finished, then SkipCourse says, okay, that is actually worth this course at this community college or at this university. Here's a couple more things that you could do if you want to, beef it up and pass the entire course at once. And then once you're done turning it in, then you can enroll in the course and pass it, right? There's no guesswork up front with, did I actually want the course? Is it what I needed? Am I ready for it? Would it be interesting? Did I like the teacher? All of that stuff is free flow for the student to pick and to run with. And then when they're done with the coursework, then they can sign up to pass the class.
Okay, wonderful. And so I think there's a lot of questions booming in my mind around more about the platform for sure. But just so people are aware, kind of how did you come up with this? Why? What drove you to create SkipCourse?
So I've been a STEM educator in K-12 for the last 10 years or so, mostly in the 6 to 12 range. And I've been in neurodivergent schools for most of that time. My first run was at a typical magnet public school with, I would say typical kids. But I didn't fit well there as a teacher because I liked giving the students the ideas to run with and then seeing what they would come up with, kind of a thing. It was more of a collaborative environment rather than structural. Yeah. And so since then, I've been in neurodivergent schools for, in Indonesia, in Tennessee, in Arizona. And I've seen the pattern where if students catch on to an idea that they really want to study, they will study and they will work hard and they will prove their point and they will argue that debate and they will go into that topic up to a beyond college level expertise, up to PhD level, because if they want to know it, that's the kind of thing that PhD programs are designing people to do, to pursue their own depth of study and become an expert in a specific topic. So if we give them that freedom, that opportunity to become the expert in the topic of their interest, they leapfrog past all those other checkpoints and choke points for learners that will just learn differently, that don't want to do the average work in all the topics at once, which is a very neurotypical thing to have, like an hour here, an hour there, an hour here, an hour there, and the bell schedule and all that stuff. So SkipCourse gives a student the opportunity to decide how to pace, what to study, where to study, when to study, who to study with. And it's agnostic to all of that. It lets them choose all of that. And the only thing that it's concerned with and that it assesses is when you submit, what is it worth? And then we populate the transcripts based on that.
Yeah, I love that. And I guess, what would you say is the mission behind SkipCourse?
There was a podcast that I actually saw a little while ago about how the Air Force had to redesign their cockpits because they were designing to the average user. And they found that they only had maybe 10% of the potential population for pilots, and they had to wash out 90% because they couldn't fit inside the control space in the cockpit. And they just came up with a philosophy: we don't design to the average, we design to the margins, and that's the goal of SkipCourse.
Interesting. Oh, wow.
Designed to the gifted kids and
Mm,
the struggling kids as the same holistic, all around learning management system.
mm.
And that way you catch everybody. Because from what I've seen, the philosophy, the assumption in most of ed tech space is if you
Yeah.
design to the average kid and you design it really well for the average kid, then somehow that means you're catching the spicy kids as well. And that's not the case.
Mm.
It's never the case.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. So what is so you alluded to it there, but I guess like how would this best serve for the neurodivergent and non-traditional learners who are probably already doing this, but without your system in place?
Well, I mean, they're, like you said, they're already doing it. They're learning more on YouTube than they are in class. They're learning more from like debates and conversations they're having in clubs out, like before school, after school, than they are when the
Okay.
teacher is standing up front lecturing. So SkipCourse lets them pick how they learn and run with it. And the only thing it's concerned with is how fast are you learning and what can we switch up? Like it'll provide recommendations and all that kind of stuff. Or, hey, there's this field trip. You seemed to do well last time you went on a field trip. Try another one.
Yeah.
Or did you like this tutor? Go ahead and run with that. It can provide the resources. It can give you ideas on like what to do to continue learning in the style that you're comfortable with. But the way that it finds out what's good for you is by how fast you're learning and applying the content that you're submitting. So that's the whole idea, is let the student lead.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Because, and there's the student can lead if they're not being watched. They can lead down into things that are useless and that kind of thing. Like they'll doom scroll and that kind of stuff if they're just unmonitored. But the key thing that SkipCourse does is it watches which behaviors and which connections make them learn the fastest, and it just optimizes to that. Is it in the classroom? Great. Stay in the classroom. Is it on YouTube? Great. Stay on YouTube. Is it on, volunteering at the local soup kitchen? Fantastic. Keep going at the soup kitchen until you run out that mile. And that's the core feature of SkipCourse, is what are you learning from is the first question. And how do we accredit that? And then how do we find the next thing for you to learn from? That's the cycle. That's what we do.
I love that so much. Now, do you want, because you're like hyping this up for folks, because it is that phenomenal, would you like to share some here?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I can give it a shot. I have an old version that I built mostly myself, and I've been onboarding people who've loved what they're doing. I'm going to share my screen to show you that one first. It says share screen, don't share screen again. Let's see if there's it.
Will it let you?
Are you seeing me scroll through stuff, or is it still showing the?
No, I just see us.
Okay, select entire screen, share. There, is that going?
All right, let's go now. There we go.
Hey, all right. So, in SkipCourse, right here, if you're like in the legacy version, which I was still like figuring out how to do, you log in. I'm going to assume that you're already a working student in the projects, and you have a dashboard like this where it's just asking you, what's your project? What do you want to add next?
Yeah.
Put it in. I'll go ahead and give you a sneak peek at what I'm writing myself, because it's always valid to put in what you're actually working on. This is a FAST grant with Arizona Commerce Authority. And we'll check and see what it gives us. So what's happening right now is it's actually checking through the Arizona state standards and college objectives at local colleges for what they are expecting a student to be able to demonstrate in the course that they've enrolled in, right? Those course catalogs and things are already open. Like they're published online for people to know which college they want to go to. So we scrape that, and then we just use an embedded AI service called Embed Firestore to figure out what the student is actually doing that matches which standards in the state standards for high school or in college objectives. And then we provide both feedback for what to do to get better, but also show you what you've done as far as those grades. Okay, so perfect. It does take a minute. This old version is a little bit slower because we're checking through all the standards rather than pre-mapping and filtering. And you'll
Mm.
see that update if we once we publish the second version, and if we have time at the end of the day today.
Yeah.
So there it is. Oh, it didn't go. All right. Well, let's skip over to the fresh new one.
Yeah.
I'm going to upload the same project just so that we have it
Yeah.
all together. ACA grant. Drop it in. And while that's going, we'll go back to the main page. And you can see stuff that I've already put in.
Yeah.
And fast grant template, competitive analysis, all this stuff is stuff that I've worked on, right?
Okay.
So you can click in and see what grades have already published.
Mm.
And notice it's not just one class. It's not just one standard. If you look at, this is 9th and 10th grade. This is 11th and 12th grade. This is 11th and 12th grade again.
Okay.
This is 4th grade, high school, hardware and software, high school, collection, visualization, transformation. So it's analyzing standards through any course that could possibly be valid and relevant to the things that I've demonstrated in that work.
Wow.
Right? And this is the part that we're still figuring out how to display the skills progress.
Yeah.
But you've also got a learning journey. Oh, there it goes. It popped up.
Okay.
So the fast grant application is finished. You can also see what to work on next to make it better. You can even share it with other people. You can snap a QR code and ask them, hey, did it actually do what it says it's doing? It'll ask the audience member, whoever, exactly what the standard says the student is doing. So if you need a teacher to validate it, they snap the QR code and they can look through the work and say, yeah, checkbox, checkbox, checkbox. It did, satisfy these standards. So you can get that in-person validation if you need it. All these recommendations. And then at the end of it, you have all of the standards booked for you to send to your school, or we can send it to your school, or for us to issue you a homeschool transcript or a college transcript at the college you've enrolled at directly. So you're not enrolling in the courses first to find out you hated them or that it was boring or you couldn't make the schedule. You're just doing the work that you wanted to do, and we track and match it to the courses that you want to work, that you enjoy doing. So this little chart on the left is like representing which classes or which projects you submitted most recently, and then how many standards you've matched with each one. So some of the early ones that I did had a lot of credit, and some of them had almost none because they were poor quality. But it tracks that velocity over time. And then the skills progress map, which is still coming up, will show like which categories of skills you're excelling at and which ones to work on. And then the course progress page over here, which also is still being built, will show you which courses you're just about finished with and which ones you're working on and that kind of thing. So, but these are the two pieces that we haven't quite finished yet in the new version. That's why this is like a beta in test. So.
And how do you see this also fitting for like homeschool students? Do you feel like this will be more helpful for them as they are, a very clear non-traditional learner?
Right. So you picture you're a high school homeschool parent, and you're not sure if your kid is actually matching the requirements to graduate. Right. So we have a parent portal in there as well for them to be able to monitor and look through the standards that are being passed by the student work, and they can know for sure this student is actually in 11th grade, or oops, this kid is only in 9th grade algebra. So we've linked up with Khan Academy, YouTube, MIT OpenCourseware, and a couple of others to be able to both provide the content from those sources, but also receive the results of those so that we can, so it's all integrated that way. So we can see how a student is progressing through those, and the parent can see that all on one single dashboard and know that even if they didn't assign the coursework, or if they assign the coursework and they're not sure if the kid is actually doing it, they can see through the dashboard what the kid is actually learning. So they know when they're ready to go to college or ready to go up to the next grade, those kinds of things.
I love that. Okay. And what would you say has been the most surprising things that you've learned from your users currently on the platform, and self-included? Yeah.
So the things that I've learned the most from my users is that the students want this kind of thing. And teachers are confused about how little they have to do with it. They're like, wait, if it's grading, making the assignments, providing the curriculum, and tracking the progress, what do I do? And I said, you go back to teaching. You go back to
educating.
so yeah, go back to educating. And they're like,
yeah,
what is
what
that?
does that mean? Yeah,
What does that mean? Like, what am I doing if
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
grading work and building assignments, right? So,
Yeah.
but that's so that was a learning experience. Also, just as a full disclosure, I have had some resistance from traditional public schools and private schools on adopting the system. One, because it's replacing the learning management system that they've already have in place in their mind, but also because the students tend to accelerate like 3 grades, 4 grades beyond what they're learning in the traditional classroom. They look at it as a budget drain, right? They're based on enrollment and butts in seats for the entire school year. And if the students are passing courses willy-nilly, going, yeah, I already know that, I don't need to take this class, and here's proof, their revenue stream dries up because the smart kids go away. The struggling kids don't need the remediation, and the school, like, the work is getting finished.
Oh,
and
wow.
that's not the business model for most schools. They want the students to stay in. That's why you, like, in most high schools, public, private, anywhere, the high schools particularly are trying to pull college coursework down into their level with concurrent enrollment, dual enrollment, all this stuff that just makes the schedules weirder and harder to manage. But they're trying to keep students in the classroom longer for their revenue stream to build up. And we're short-circuiting that. We're letting it go the other way and letting the students finish and exit faster, which they like. Kids like that. They like being done with the work when they know they've got the skill.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, I mean, that's probably a good sign that you're onto something really amazing, because when people challenge,
right,
it's because it's new and it's innovative, and the average person just doesn't know how to sit with that. Like, they're just like, what do you mean? Like,
what do you mean I'm going to lose all my students?
Yeah.
What do you mean they're ready to graduate already? I haven't sent them through the full year of 12th grade where they all check out yet. Like, I haven't charged them for that time in the seat where they're doing nothing.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
that part. That's interesting. Yeah. What do you mean we can make them smarter and actually more competent for workers? And then that actually, before we move on to other stuff, how does this help employers, like potential employers who are looking to hire these kids who will go into the workforce?
Motivation, pure and simple. Like, if the kid knows that what they're learning, what they want to learn, matters, that people who are grading them know what they're talking about, and that it's going to go somewhere, right? It's going to be... it's going to move them forward when they do the work, and that just, like, let them sit in the seat longer. You know, if it's not a set deadline, but they can actually run the race and finish faster, it changes the motivational scale. It changes what they're trying to do, right? If they're not trying to just, like, skate through and outlive the end of high school, if they're trying to race to the end because they can't wait to get out, and most of them can't, right? There's a reason for them to work.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I would be remiss if I did not ask you, what is your ask? How can people support SkipCourse? What are you looking for right now in your stage of the business and what you're doing?
I'm looking for people to try it out. That's pure and simple. I've run I've run all the shots that I could shoot for social media, trying to get people, but that space is already flooded. Like, it's overused, trying to, run social Facebook ads and things like that to get people to try it. I've run up against barriers with direct adoption at public schools because, the stock response is either the teachers unions won't go for it, or we don't see how it fits with our revenue stream, which is weird. But I haven't been adopted at public schools yet. So I would love for people to just flood the system and say, yes, this is what we want, so that the schools have to listen.
Okay. So where do they go to learn more? How do they go to try it, learn all that?
SkipCourse.com.
SkipCourse.com, y'all. All right.
SkipCourse.com.
All right. Cool.
And we'll have version 2 up in a couple of weeks with the advanced features and the ability to grab your transcript directly. And that will be available for homeschool people all over the place. You can use ESA for all of it. We're already verified as an ESA vendor for tutoring and tuition. So you can get all of your coursework done through us now. And it's all set to go.
Okay, perfect. And no limitation on the types of subjects and genres covered,
No,
right? Just to put
no,
that out there.
we've been able to catch like theater work, performance. The second version will have video capture and analysis. So you can like um, present in front of people or
Mhm.
act in a play or dance a ballet, and it'll actually be able to watch that and say, oh yeah, you're actually this good at ballet. Here's your athletics credits. Those kinds of
Oh,
things
wow.
will
Very
be
cool.
possible through the version 2. It's coming
And
out.
gaming and AI
Gaming,
work or
dropping codes in,
Mhm,
all that stuff. If you built a game, you can,
mhm.
demo it in the video and it'll say, oh yeah, you built that game. That's actually pretty cool. Here's credit for, all the back end stack that
Wow.
you used for it, all the
So
experience you
powerful.
had. So
Okay.
yeah,
And what
it's in there.
I love that. And what would you say is like going to be the next focus for Skip Course for the rest of 2025?
So we're an ed tech company, right?
Mhm.
Which means if someone is using the app, it means that they're not talking to somebody else. We're going to change that.
Mm,
That's the reason I'm going for these fast grants and things like that, is because we want to flip it back into, you're not bringing your content to the system. It's the system is going along with you in your regular day. So we want to be able to like watch the presentations that you're presenting to people or the conversations that you're having, or with your permission, of course, join in on the chat room conversations that you're having and let you know, hey, that thing that you said to that buddy over there with the meeting that you're planning, that actually counts for credit. This is what it means. This is the state standard that you just passed by this conversation you had. And
mm,
that will give the students the freedom to not be tied to the device, but have the device follow along with them
mm,
and learn from the day-to-day interactions that they're having, right?
mm.
Because that's again next next step, next level,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the LMSs that we have now still don't know if the student is applying it outside of class.
Mm,
And that's
mm.
another big point, right? Not just motivation for the student to say, yes, the things I'm submitting in class, but now we're trying to rebuild the front end so that you don't have to be in class to be learning, and the AI, the system, can follow along with your learning just with being out in the woods and playing, right? We offline capable, so you can be, out on the top of Mount Humphreys or Mount Whitney if you're in that's Washington, I think. No,
Mhm.
McKin. Anyway, on top of some mountain with no cell
Yeah.
signal and
Yeah.
still have it tracking and recognizing, hey, you just identified this crazy flower in the top of the mountain. That's a botany class right there. So we want to make that possible. The student, and it looks like, okay, it's a signal back. There's a screen flash there for a second.
Yeah. Okay. I was
Okay, are
wondering
we
if it
back?
was on my own.
Cool. All
Yes.
right.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah.
with
So that's
that,
that's maybe a year out. It really depends on current growing. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Sorry.
All right, let's get into some rapid fire questions. So, what's one word to describe your learning
Sure.
style?
Impatient.
I
I
would say,
I don't
yeah.
I don't like waiting for the video to load. I don't like waiting for the video to go through. When I
Mm,
know I want to know something, I want to know it,
mhm,
I go find it.
mm.
It's yeah, I'm impatient.
Okay, okay. I would say dynamic. I like to learn through listening, through visuals, through reading, through speaking, I don't like just one way of learning. I want a holistic way to learn. So dynamic learning
Mm.
would be for me. But I feel you on the impatience. I have ADHD, so 1,000%. Right there with you. Okay, coffee or tea? What do you prefer?
Coffee or tea? I would prefer tea.
Ooh, me too. What type?
You're not stuck in like the chocolate caramel range. Yeah.
Okay.
You got a lot more things that you can do with tea than you can do with coffee.
Yes, yes. I love mint tea. What's your favorite?
Mm. Let's see, passion fruit tea.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. What's a
That's
book or
from
sorry.
good. Yeah.
We're like the internet's not our friend right now. What's a book or a podcast or a tool or something that you've used that's changed your mindset, your life? Fill in the blank.
Well, I mentioned that Air Force podcast that I listened to that one time. It really validated what I was experiencing as a learner
Mm.
2 years ago. But shaped and helped me identify factories. It's about the U.S. college or the global and how it's built to an and I have to figure out what the title is or what the for that. But it's called Dream Factories. It's
Mm-hmm. Can you
all right,
still
are we
hear
back?
me? Yes, I think so. Okay, so
Oh,
Lord. Okay, we'll finish with one more question before the internet
I can hear bits and pieces.
fails. Yeah, I know. If Skip Course was a song, what would it be?
Life is like an open highway. I'm going to learn it my way.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so
I'm just going to learn while I'm alive. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, again, where can people find out more about Skip Course, you, all that good jazz?
So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I post when I'm not deep into the code or talking to people in person. Like I go to youth events and stuff all the time just to find out from my potential user base, like what are they doing? How are they hanging out? Like what do they like doing right now? So when I'm not doing that, I'm either working on the code or posting on LinkedIn, Facebook, those kinds of places. You can also sign up through the SkipCourse website for newsletters that come out whenever there's something major that happens. I don't like to do the monthly, or every other week. Here's something that's just to keep your attention. I post when there's something that happens. So
okay, perfect. All right, so skipcourse.com, right?
SkipCourse.com.
I love it, y'all. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing the amazing work that you're doing. And I hope everyone comes on board so that they can learn different, live fuller, and keep on learning.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. You have a blessed day. Okay.
You too. And thank you, Natasha, for having me on.
Bye.
All right.